tonight before I leave. Y'all rough on me. Well, good evening to good evening to everyone. I promise you that you're not going to be here for a long time, but we had scheduled to have a work session just to be able to give you an update about the finances for the city of Irondale. I'm glad to see Councilman Box made it back in time. So we have 3 out of the 4 councilors here to be able to do that. So I just want to let you all know that when it comes to the finances of the city, that we have a team of people that are working on them, and that they are very competent individuals. John Maxwell always said that if you want to be a great leader, you go out and hire people that are smarter than you. So I would say that all of these individuals that are here, they have their specialties. So I'm just going to introduce you to them tonight so you'll be able to put a face with a name. But I will go through quickly what is going to be the agenda for tonight. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce you to the finance team for the city of Irondale. And then we're going to cover some of the highlights from the FY 2020 financial audit. Then we're going to discuss some highlights from the FY 21 budget. We're going to discuss the American Rescue Plan, the budget calendar, and finally we're going to close with miscellaneous items. And once I close with the miscellaneous items, if there are any questions that you all would like to ask, we will cover those. The goal is to be able to do this in 1 hour. I know everyone has had a long day and probably want to get home. So I promise you that I'm not going to prolong it or to be able to just talk just for the sake of talking. But I want to be able to give you factual information so that you can know how the city is performing financially. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with our finance team. And the first person that I would like to introduce is Mr. Rod Cantor. Rod, if you would just stand when I call your name, you don't have to come up front and we stand across like a firing line. But Rod Cantor works for Bradley. He is a bond counselor. He is one of the best in the business. I was elated that he decided that he would work with us here at Irondale. I mean, he works with much larger entities than us. And what I like to say his claim to fame is working on the Toyota Mazda deal in Huntsville. That was what deal was that, Rod? How much was that? Okay. So I think that he can help us deal with the $23 million that we have here at the city of Irondale if he's doing $3 billion projects. Thank you, Rod. Second on our agenda, we have Matt Adams, who is not with us today, but Brad Green is here from Raymond James. The city has actually been doing business with Raymond James since 2013. They've handled all of the city bond issues since that time, and they are excellent underwriters. Matt and Brad and their team over there. Brad actually do a lot of the hardcore work. He do a lot of the analysis and working through to make sure that the bonds are priced correctly and that we're tapping into the right investors. So I wanted to thank Brad for coming here from Raymond James tonight. We actually created a resolution with the finance team that has Rod and Brad, and also who I'm getting ready to introduce next to you is Mac Underwood. And Mac is with Terminus, and he is a municipal financial advisor. Matt has extensive experience when it comes to dealing with water departments. He was actually the CEO for the Birmingham Waterworks, and he also was the finance director for the city of Birmingham. So Mac has a plethora of experience when it comes to dealing with finances, and his job is to make sure that Brad does the right thing. We realize that although we have a good working relationship with our underwriters, our underwriters are usually working for the bond people that they're selling the bonds to. So Mac is here to make sure that that pricing is correct and make sure that Brad does the right thing, which we know Brad's going to do the right thing anyway, but we just wanted to put some checks and balances in to make sure that he does that. So thank you, Mac. Also on our audit team, this year we have a new set of auditors, which is BMSS, which stands for Barfield, Murphy, Shank, and Smith. They went to this new design, so they took all the names out and they just went to the initials. But we have two of the individuals here with us tonight. We have Jake Beckert. Jake is a CPA. He's been doing auditing since he was 10. We call him Jake for State Farm when he was here. That was the joke that's got on khaki pants, so that was the name that we gave him. So Jake and Stephen Von Hagel were the individuals that performed the audit on the city's financials this year. And they will be back on August the 18th when we bring the audit to the council. They're going to be able to present it and also to go ahead and to be able to get that approved. But I've really enjoyed working with them this year. I was a little upset with them because today when I went in the accounting department, they had sent some, some certificates for the ladies that work in the back. So I said, what about the mayor? And Stephen said, well, he and I'll go hit some golf balls. So we'll do that. And the last part of the team is Jason Harp and Andrew Waits, and they're not with us. Jason actually works for Car Rigs. In Car Rigs, we use them because the governmental accounting now is so complex. You really need to have a CPA, if you could afford one, to be a part of your ordinary city financial team. However, we're not in that position to have a CPA here full time, so we work with a separate CPA firm that comes in on a monthly basis. They go through all the books, the reconciliations, the bank statements. They make sure that everything is in order so that when it gets to Jake and Stephen, they don't have to look for a lot of information, or they don't have to try to decipher what needs to be done because it's already been put in the correct format. So that is the finance team that we have here at the City of Irondale. And we also have Lou Jackson, which is our city clerk. And also you have myself, the mayor, James Stewart. I know a little bit about finances, so they allow me to be able to work with them every now and then. But I really enjoyed, we really have a good team of people that is here. And you can truly believe that the funds that the city receive is being protected because we have some of the best individuals in the business making sure that we do the right thing. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the highlights from the FY20 financial audit. The first thing that I want to talk about is that the governmental funds reported a combined ending fund balance of $14.7 million. This is actually a $3.2 million increase from the last fiscal year. The city retired $3.1 million of debt through regular scheduled debt payments. So we didn't do anything out of the ordinary. We didn't put any money in escrow. We didn't defease any bonds. We didn't make any extra payments. We just made the payments that we were supposed to make on the bonds that we had outstanding, and we were able to reduce that debt by $3.1 million. The actual revenues from the city was actually exceeded the budgeted amount by $2.7 million. So we ended up with a 13% increase in revenue, and our actual expenditures from the general fund was less than $1.6 million. So we had a decrease in expenses by 8.6%. So I'm going to give you a little finance question. If your revenues exceed your actual and your expenses are lower than your actual, what do you end up with? If your revenues exceeds your budgeted and your expenses are smaller than what you budgeted, then what do you end up with at the end of the fiscal year? A bunch of money. You end up with a nice reserve. So the city was able to be able to add to, and I'm not going to get into the accounting part, but they call it the fund balance. So we were able to increase our fund balance. That's a very important thing because we are looking to do some restructuring within the next few months. So to be able to have this audit done, to be able to have a strong fund balance, it really helps you when you go before the S&P to be able to get your rating for those particular issues. Double A. Also, I wanted to make sure I throw this in here because I hear this question a lot, or I hear this answer given a lot. What do you think is the largest tax that the city receives to finance the city every fiscal year? Who wants to say sales tax? I just got two sales tax. Okay. How many property tax people I have here? No property tax? I mean, I hear it all the time when we're getting ready to do something. I always hear that, you all getting ready to mess up taxpayers' money. That usually comes from property tax. So I would think that that would be the largest amount that we receive. You all don't want to? It's not a trick question. The answer is sales tax. 43.7 of the city revenue for FY20 came from sales tax. Only 5.6 came from property tax. So if the city doesn't receive sales tax, then we're in bad shape. If we're not growing the economy, if we're not growing the businesses, if we're not retaining the businesses, if we're not helping them to be able to expand. After all, I learned at the Auburn Economic Intensive Institute that 80% of the growth of your business in your community actually comes from the businesses that are already in your community, which made me think about how we need to change our structure, about how we think about economic development, because we want to hit home runs. But what I learned last week is that you need to hit more singles than you hit home runs. And if you continue to be able to do that, that is a good way to be able to grow your economy. So that's one of the things that I would love to do here in the city going forward. I believe that the city needs to have an individual that just focus on economic development. I would say that we've been blessed over the last 20 years not to have that individual to be here. And because the Lord loves Irondale so much, he smiled on us and showed the favor to allow our sales tax to continue to increase on an annual basis. But I truly believe that if we're going to go to that next level, we need to bring the individual that has the expertise to be able to do it and allow them to be able to do it. Now, of course, we're going to have to pay them for it, but you get what you pay for. So if you pay little, you get little. You bring the right person in and they know how to do it. I truly believe that the city would be able to reap the benefits from that. And the last thing is our water department had according to our accountants, a net position change of $1.4 million, or close to $432,850. So the water department had a pretty good run last year as well. They said that I could say that's when revenue exceeds expenses. So that was the next position for the water department. So you can see last year, we had an increase in the general fund around $3.2 million, and that in the water department, we had a net position change of about $1.4 million. So looking at that, realizing the environment that we're dealing with, because we were in the midst of COVID. I mean, most municipalities were suffering. They didn't even know how they were going to be able to pay some of their bills, pay their salaries, and be able to meet their needs. But we, here at the city of Irondale, we weathered that storm. And we weathered that storm because we have great people that work here. And we also have a captive audience when it comes to luxury automobiles. Apparently, the people that can buy those luxury automobiles didn't have a problem uh, during COVID. So, that was one of the things that was very surprising to me because I've been here for at least the last 8 or 9 years to be able to track sales tax here at the city. And I would say that the sales tax now that is coming into the city is higher than it was 2 years ago. Not that we've added any additional businesses that would generate that amount, but it's really because we have a foothold when it comes to being able to purchase luxury automobiles. So everybody comes to the city of Irondale to be able to do that. So I hope you all run out and be able to get one for the end of the fiscal year. We end on September 30th. So if you want to add to the economy here at the city of Irondale, we got 11 or 12 different brands over there that you can choose from. So if you want to help us out, go over there before September the 30th. Are there any questions so far about the individuals that are on the finance team or how the city actually performed or some of the highlights that came out of the audit for FY20? Okay, you can go ahead, Donna. It gives me a break. Can somebody give me some water? All of the above. People seem to think that economic development only goes out to be able to attract businesses. But there are several different components to economic development. You have workforce development, you have retention and expansion, you have entrepreneurship, that's a part of that. You have attraction, expansion. So there's like several different parts to economic development. But if you're only just focusing on bringing in commercial development, then you're missing the other 6 opportunities that may be available to you to be able to bring to your city. And if you don't have the expertise on staff to be able to do it, then you're missing having a well-rounded, comprehensive plan. The CDA definitely plays a role to what we are trying to do here at the city, but we need to have a broader, larger, bigger plan to be able to continue to bring revenue into the city of Irondale. Yes, I'm talking about bringing in a person. That's all they do. I mean, 24/7. I mean, you need somebody sitting at the table when things are going on at the county. Somebody needs to be at the county to know what's going on. Things are going on at the state level. You need somebody to be there to know exactly what's going on. You don't need to find out what's going on when you read your newspaper. And that's where we have been in that position for years, that we find out when it happens or when it shows up in the newspaper. And we want to be able to change that. We want to be the news, not read the news. And to be able to do that, we need to bring in that individual and create that department to allow them to be able to do that. And if they do it correctly over time, it will pay for itself. Yes, everybody that I've talked to, everybody that I've worked with, I mean, has been very open to doing things here at the city. Um, Gary Palmer, who is our representative for District 6, I was going to talk about that later, but since you brought that up, he's going to have his town hall meeting in this chamber on August the 17th. So we're looking to inviting the community to come out and to be able to ask him questions, because my goal is to be able to develop relationships with everybody on every level. And when you're in local government, it doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. You just need to have those relationships with those individuals. So when you're getting ready to do things or you want to be able to make things happen, you shouldn't let party lines be the one or the one thing that destroys that from taking
Has
place.
that been a problem? I wasn't aware of that.
I can't speak for, other administrations or people that were before me, but I do know when I got here there were no relationships at that level with those individuals, and I'm trying to be able to build those. I mean, that's why Linda Coleman came in here last Wednesday and dropped off $20,000 because of the relationship. Dickie Drake, $7,500. It was because of the relationship. So a lot of it starts with relationships, and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. Money is green. So that is a universal color that is neutral, and it works for everybody. Is there anybody in this room that green doesn't work for? Then let me know. So thank you, Donna, for asking that question.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
The surplus, was that affected at all by stimulus money or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so it was all just increases in sales tax?
Yes, I'm going to cover how the American Rescue Plan
Okay.
has played out in the city finances. And I'm also going to talk about the $537,000 that we received for the county, how that played in the city finances. But all of that money is in the 2021 budget. So it had nothing to do with what has taken place last year. And even with the information that I'm giving you now, only $537,000 has played a part in that surplus.
And then, second question is that you talked about a lot of the increase coming from car sales. And I know there are some issues with semiconductors and stuff like that. Do we know how that's going to affect our budget this year and how we do this year?
From what I've been told, car sales is supposed to continue through 2023. There's still a backlog of new vehicles hitting the market. So the vehicles that are already on the lots, they should be, if you have them, you're in a pretty good position to be able to take advantage of the shortage that's taking place everywhere else. So I've been told that we could expect another banner year through 2023 when it comes to auto sales.
I will say that the former council raised the taxes on the cars.
Yes.
And the lodging tax, which does not directly affect our citizens.
Right.
Because people come from all over the world to buy those high-end cars.
Well, wait till I get to my recommendation section for FY22.
All right, I'm ready, but anyway, that's really paid off, and I'm glad.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you gave me a nice little segue to be able to move into that. But I'm going to go to the highlights for FY21 budget. Currently, we have a $5.5 million surplus. The American Rescue Plan money that we received was $1,530,928.72. Now that amount is not included in the surplus because that amount came in July, and I'm actually giving you our final for the first 9 months. So when we go through this next month, it's going to be even higher because we have that $1.5 million over there that we haven't even touched. So we are doing pretty well when it comes to cash. Between restricted and unrestricted, I didn't break it down tonight, but when I walked out of the office at 5:45, there was $23 million sitting in the bank. So I think that we are doing pretty well for a municipality our size. Sales tax revenue was projected to be $10,553,596 through June 30th, 2021. So far, we've collected $9,912,224.96. We are 6.8% away from hitting our budgeted amount, and we still have 3 months left in the fiscal year. So I feel pretty confident that we will hit that number. We've been averaging somewhere between $1.5 million a month in revenue coming into the city. So with that amount coming in, we should eclipse the amount that we projected for the budget when it comes to sales and use tax. We have received $537,000 in COVID-19 money from the county. we still have $108,000 left over. And if I can keep the fire chief out of that fund, we'll do pretty well.
Where is that scoundrel?
He's back there. Whenever he shows up to the office, I know it's got some dollars wrapped around it. So he heard that figure, so I know he's going to try to figure out a way to visit me on Tuesday to let me know that there are some glaring needs in the fire department that we can use the rest of this money on to be able to spend for that. And we will definitely have to account for it. We'll have a special single audit that will be performed by our wonderful auditors over there to make sure we account for every dollar that we spent here and to make sure that it meets the criteria that those funds were supposed to be used for. Okay. We have, as I was looking through I call it a spending plan, you all. A budget to me, when I was counseling people about finances, nobody liked to hear the word budget because they always think about restrictions. So I try to talk about, this is the way we're going to spend money instead of the way we're going to restrict you from spending money. And it seems like the department heads like that, not having that restriction more than when we talk about how we're going to be able to deal with the budget. But there are two departments, and I'll have to review the admin department, but I know that at the present time we should have 25% of our budget remaining, and the admin department only has about 10% of their budget remaining, and the library has about 24.4% of their budget remaining. But all of the other departments are at least 25% or higher, with the remainder of their budget intact for the end of the fiscal year. Frank, that is not with us tonight, but Frank got to be the most frugal person that I know in government. And I want to say his public works department is like at 45.6%. So he tries to outdo everybody else. We got a compressor over there that's been in public works for about 30 years. And I said, Frank, why don't you go ahead and replace the compressor? He said, well, James is still blowing air in the tires. I said, well, eventually it's not going to do that one day. It wasn't born to last for 30 years. Yes, but Frank is a very good guy. Like I say, he's the most frugal department head that we have. And then when we hired two young ones, they're probably the more aggressive when it comes to budgeting. Josh may cut me off tonight because I'm talking about him. So, but Josh don't have a problem with coming and saying, Mayor, we have a need and we need to spend some money on things. And as I stated earlier, we have about $23 million in the bank in restricted and unrestricted funds as of today. Now, that is as of today. That's July 29th. Now I'm looking at the bank balances. I'm not looking at statements and saying that that's final because that's a moving target. But as of today, when I walked out, it was at $23 million. Anybody have any questions about the FY21 spending plan?
No, but I can help you spend some of it.
Oh, okay. Well, come on down. I think you look good in white. If you know what I mean. Tutwiler rings a bell.
With big orange stripes.
No, we won't put you in orange. We give you red. But, okay, well, I'll move into the American Rescue Plan. We received about $1.5 million for that. They do want you to invest some of that money into your community. The council hasn't decided exactly what they want to do with those funds. However, I do plan on making a few recommendations of some things that we can do. The last newsletter that went out for August actually have 2 meeting dates on there for, I think it's on the 24th. We're going to have a group to come in to share with them about rental assistance and mortgage assistance and rent payment assistance. How can we take some of this money to be able to help individuals that have not been able to meet their obligations during this time, and how we can come along and partner to be able to help someone. I think Martin Luther King said that if I can help someone, every day, then my life is not in vain. And I truly believe as a city that we have a responsibility to do that. I'll share with you the reason that I believe that the city is in the financial condition that it's in, because during this time, we have not kept our fists like this, but we've kept our hands like this. So we've been able to help others. And it's amazing that when you help others, the person up there has a way of being able to give you more to be able to help others, because he's realized that you're being a good steward of the things that you've been entrusted with. And I would say with the council that we have in place, that they've been good stewards of the resources that we've been given as a city. And that's why we're in the shape that we're in. So we would like to at least visit and to share with people how we can invest some of this money in helping them to be able to get back on their feet. And we also want to be able to provide incentive grants to small businesses that may have been injured by this as well. Teresa Ball was meeting with me today. She's a banker with Valley, and she's actually done a lot of PPE loans. And David has also done. You haven't, David?
No, I have.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put you. Well, see, I'm gonna put you on the team. Yeah, we're gonna put you on the team because we already know you understand how that process works. So the city received $1.5 million this year, and we're also going to receive $1.5 million next year. So we have about $3 million that is coming in, and we have to sit down, mayor and council, to be able to decide how we're going to be able to use those funds. But those funds came to the city on my birthday, July the 8th. I looked into our banking account, and it was $1.5 million that was sitting there. And I said, wow, that's the greatest birthday present I could ever receive. Well, it didn't come directly to me, so it came to the city, but I was glad that the city had an opportunity to be able to receive it. And Lou also worked with me to be able to make sure that those funds came in. Lou has been heaven sent. She's totally different from me. Everybody knows that I procrastinate, and everybody knows, and everybody knows that I asked Lou a question today, and it was about, we were trying to revisit our banking situation, and we're getting ready to maybe to look at some different banks. So I said, Lou, will you please get me the financial analysis statement from the bank? She said, Mayor, when do you need it? I said, Wednesday will be fine when I come back. Well, 5 o'clock, Mayor, can you come here? I got them on the phone, and they won't give me the answer because I'm not on the account. I said, Lou, I told you Wednesday, not Thursday afternoon. So she's very diligent, and like I said, we're very glad to be able to have her here. You usually don't hit a home run through the personnel board, but I can truly say that we hit a home run through the personnel board. And Lou, we're glad to have you here with us. So do anybody have any questions about the about the American Rescue Plan, the amount of money that came in? There's still some things that are coming down. I know that there are some internet issues in certain parts of Irondale. So it can be used for broadband, it can be used for water, it can be used for sewer, it could be used to pay our employees premium pay during this time. So there's
Ditches covered.
no ditches. Well, it's got storm drains is a part of it. So I guess how you define it, but I have to get with Stephen, Jake, and April to make sure we have the correct definition for
And I
that.
want to clarify that when I said I hope you spend some of that money, I didn't mean, I meant for our community.
Oh, we got you
I
on
got a
tape
list.
now.
I'm
You know, we
like,
got you
I
on.
got a
You
list.
can't get out of it now. We got you on tape. But I know what you mean. You've been an advocate for Roebuck Plaza, and we do need to get out there and to be able to do some things to be able to reinvest some money into the neighborhood. Yeah, so.
Like men, and if any of that money can be used for that, that would be awesome.
Yes, well, we want to be able to, we do have an aging storm drain system here in the city, and we do want to be able to invest some of the money into that. So it'd be a perfect opportunity to be able to use it in a way that it could be beneficial to the community and helpful to the city at the same time.
And I'm very concerned about the water project up in the north side. How is that going? I mean,
We haven't started yet. It's tied with the road project. So Sunday, the bids will be in the newspaper for the road project, the $2.4 million road project. You have to run that ad for 3 consecutive weeks. So we're getting ready to run that ad, and as soon as we run that ad and we get the bids and we open them up and give the council the opportunity to approve it, then we will set the water part in place to be able to go in. We'll let them go in first,
Yes.
and they'll do their deal, and then once they've done their deal, we'll come back in those areas that are supposed to receive fresh pavement.
Yeah, exactly, but you're gonna do the water line.
We're gonna do the water
It's
first.
gonna be really soon?
I can't tell you how soon, but I can tell you this year.
Okay.
We're gonna do it in 15 days. We'll do it in 15 days.
Here we go, the 15 days.
But no, we already have received the bid, but part of that was a part of the capital plan for the water department, and we haven't quite worked out how we're going to fund that plan, or the combination of funds we're going to be able to use it. So we need to sit down as a group, be able to figure that out, and once we can figure that out, bring it to the council, we'll be ready to move forward. So I'm going to give you the budget calendar for FY 2022. I expect for the department heads to have me their information by August the 10th. Then we're going to have another town hall meeting on August the 22nd, and that's where I want the public to come in and to be able to give me feedback on certain things that they like, that they don't like, some of the things they'd like to be added. I do want the community to have a part and have a say-so. So we will do that on August the 22nd at a town hall meeting where we'll allow you to be able to voice your opinion. We'll make sure that you get the budget or spending plan before then, so you get a chance to be able to look at it. So you can be well educated when you come, and you can be able to share your questions. And our goal is to be able to integrate those things because at the end of the day, I mean, we're doing it for you. So we want to make sure that we put the money, we want to be able to make sure that we match vision, priorities with money. Not just spend money for the sake of spending money, but Blueprint Irondale should be finished by the end of this month, the end of this year. So that we already have our blueprint for that. But now we got to be able to develop an economic plan to determine how we're going to be able to pay for all of these things that people decided that they want to have over the next 5 to 20 years.
And so, I'm sorry, you may have said this and I just didn't get it. What is the American Rescue Plan money for?
Broadband, water, sewer, storm drains, infrastructure, premium pay, to be able to invest in the community, helping nonprofits, schools. I mean, so it's a very wide net at the present time. It may be the best time to use it since it's so wide. Eventually, they're going to figure it out and narrow it down. But if you've already done it before then, hopefully they'll give you a little grace. So we will have the town hall meeting on the 22nd. Then I would like to turn it over to David and the council on the 29th. And hopefully we can have a work session on September the 7th for the council to discuss it. And finally, it will go up for adoption on September the 15th, which is the second council meeting in September, which means that as we go into October, we will have the spending plans for all of the funds that we have here at the city, that we have all of it completed at one time. So we'll have general fund, capital, E911, gas tax or gas tax 4, 5, and 7, water, courts. I don't think I left anybody out, but this year we'll make sure that we give you all of that information at one time, let you all go through it. We sit down, strategize, go through it, make adjustments, but we'll do it all at one time, and the goal is to be through September the 15th, going to the new year with all of that information intact.
And who do we give our list to?
You'll give your list on the 22nd
Okay.
at the town hall meeting. All right, now we're to I would say the best section, which is the miscellaneous section. These are some of the things where I was sitting there, things I've been thinking about all year. I always say that In the nonprofit world, the easiest way to raise money is when you don't need money. And I would take that same principle and move it to the governmental world. The best time to be able to increase things is not when you finally get to the point where you have to do it, but you stay ahead of the curve and you constantly keep money coming in so that you can continue to do things for your citizens. So I hope everybody will understand that he just said that we are in great financial shape. So why would you want to increase anything because you're in great financial shape? The answer to that question is we want to stay in great financial shape. And I've learned that incremental increases is a whole lot better than when you do stuff that's like 10 and 15%. People don't mind if you do 1, 2, 3% here, but when you start getting up into double digits, then you have a problem. So we just want to be good stewards of the things that we've been entrusted with. We want to make sure that we keep the city in great financial shape. And these are some of the recommendations or some of the things that I've seen over the last year that I think that we need to address. One of them is that we have an opportunity to receive an additional $1 million. Is that right, Brad? I know the market is constantly moving, but the last numbers that I saw from you and Mac, that if we refund those issues that we have out there, that's an additional $1 million that could come to the city. It will not change the maturity dates. It will not change the principal that we are paying on those current bonds. But because we're in a low interest rate environment, it allows us to be able to take advantage of that and to be able to we could do two things. We could either pay that down or we can either use those funds to be able to do some additional capital items here in the city. So that's one thing. Second thing is, I think we heard about this at the last council meeting, is recycling. At some point, the city has to make a decision that we're going to continue to do recycling or we're not going to do recycling. I know it's a feel-good deal, and, I love the environment as well. And I want to say, when was that? Monday, maybe Sunday, Kim and I was in the driveway tearing up boxes for about 30 minutes just so they wouldn't get wet, because I didn't want anybody to call and say, well, the mayor got his boxes out unprotected and he's contaminated the whole load that we pick up. So we got a little 50-gallon recycling can, and, we sit there and recycle and make sure that we do the right thing. But hear my voice. I do not want to get rid of it. I just feel that we can improve the process that we currently have in place. And I visited 2 cities, and I have plans to visit 2 more cities to be able to bring a comprehensive plan back to the city to see if everyone is ready to embrace it. If you really want to do recycling, we're going to have to invest some money in being able to do it. Number one, I'm hoping that we get a grant to get rid of those little blue tubs and that we can, get some bigger trash cans or cans to be able to handle that. So I definitely want us to be able to look at the recycling, to address it, determine if we want to continue. We need to put some education as a part of it. We need to market it better. We need to put more information on the website so that people will know exactly what's going on. And also, if any of you all want to be in a recycling video, let me know. We'll put you in the video. We'll let Donna, you can do number 1s and number 2s.
Listen, Tim is into it.
Okay, well, we'll put you and Tim in there.
He will be the poster.
Well, we'll put Tim in there. He can tell everybody about what's the number 1, what's the number 2, where you're supposed to find the number 1 and the number 2. Okay, so anybody that's out there, you hear my voice. If you want to be in our recycling videos, let me know. So we plan on creating a campaign, and if we're going to do it, we're going to make sure that we do it right. So we're going to address recycling. The third thing is I'm proposing that we have an increase in garbage rates. I get so many complaints about, I do my own construction work, but you all won't come by and pick it up. And I said, okay, well, that's part of the ordinance. Well, I'll pay a little extra if you all just get rid of the ordinance and say you'll pick up everything. And I've had several people to be able to say, well, if you just went up $5, I would be happy with that. And I said, well, I have to run that by the council to see if they want to be able to do it. But we haven't increased garbage rates since 2008. So that's about 13 years that we still have the same rates that we had in 2008. But we still have the same trucks. We still have the same employees. We still have the same amount or more insurance that we have to pay. So all the expenses related to garbage is increasing, but yes, dumping fees have gone up. And we're still keeping the rates in the same place. So I hate to be able to break this news to everybody, and maybe the town hall on the 22nd will be crowded because people come out when you have to talk about increases, but I'm not talking about anything large. I mean, right now it's $20, and I think if it went to $21, I mean, we're talking about 5%. So I don't think that should cause anybody any heartburn. What we're going to do is to do an analysis and really work the numbers to see what would it take. And if it doesn't take anything, we won't do anything. But if the numbers come back and say that we do need to do something, then we'll do something about it. We're going to do the same thing with the water department. We had increased water rates since 2016. We had a rate study that was put in place to say this is what you need to do over the next 10 to 15 years. We haven't done what we needed to do over those 15 years. So we started out when we did that study. It revealed that in the first year, we needed to increase rates by 45%. I think everybody would have been ran out of office if you would have increased it by 45. So they decided we'll do 10. We'll do 10, and we will actually approve 3 years in advance so we don't have to come back every year and go through the same thing. Well, that expired in 2016, and after 2016, nobody else has done anything with it. So we're talking about 2016. We're now headed into 2022. So we've had almost 6 years to go by where we've allowed the rates to be the same. And we've done well with being able to increase our net position, but we need to think about not only do we need to put money in reserve, but a water department is capital intensive. So you constantly got to be replacing pipe, upgrading the tanks that we have, the maintenance on the tanks and all of that stuff. So there's a cost that goes to that. So I just want to let you all know tonight, these are the things that we're looking at. I'm not saying that they're etched in stone, but if we're going to run this place like we need to run it, and I'm not saying, I'm not one of those individuals that say, well, you run government like a business. No, you run government like you run a government, because government and business is not the same. And I know people try to fit those two into the same deal, but that's not the way it goes. You don't run a government like you run a nonprofit, and you don't run a nonprofit like you run a business for profit. But there are certain principles that transfer or transcends all of those different entities. But these are just some of the things that we need to look at. If we're not going to keep our water system up, then maybe we need to sell it and let somebody else do it.
I can agree more.
Okay. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Also, we've been, I guess I've been having this discussion with myself, but the automotive tax rate here is 1.5%. And at the state level, it's 2%. And I believe that our rate should be in line with the state rate. The dealerships may think differently, but I do plan on going to each one of the dealerships and having a conversation with them if they hear anything from this video tonight, and just let them know that these are some of the things that we're looking at. We're going to be transparent, going to be upfront with you. Before we do anything, I'm going to make sure that I speak to all of them and to let them know why we're doing it. I mean, one of the things is we plan on creating, or again, I'm sorry, I don't want the council to say James or the mayor speaking for them, because I hadn't spoke to them about this, but I believe that that's one of the greatest assets that we have. I believe that if we create a destination for automobiles, and that if we market and we market it to people that if you want to buy a new car, well, Irondale is the place to be able to do that. And if they're willing to be able to pay a little bit extra, that we would share with some of the funds that are coming in to make sure that they're more profitable, that they're making more revenue, because when they make more revenue, we make more revenue. So my recommendation would be to go from 1.5 to 2%. And one of the things that, since I've been mayor the last 8 months, I've been trying to figure out why the corporate community is so cold to the city. So I started going around talking to them. And the reason that a lot of them were upset with the city was because the way that the occupational license fee was enacted. And a lot of them feel because they employees pay that fee, they don't have to do anything else. They said, we already providing you with extra funds by taking that extra money out of our employees. So even when I ran for office, and I didn't just say it because I was trying to get votes, but if you go back and read some of the campaign material that I had, I said that one of my goals was to reduce the occupational license fee or to be able to cut it in half. So I'm proposing this year that we reduce it by 0.25, and I'm proposing that the next fiscal year we reduce it by 0.25, which will allow us to be able to reduce it down to just 0.5%. And that will put extra money in everybody's pocket. I think everybody will be happy. So to be able to do some of the increases, to be able to reduce things, you got to be able to offset them. And it doesn't make sense to be able to do it just because you said that you were going to do it. Sometimes you have to come back and say you made a mistake. But I feel like we got a pretty good handle on what's going on here at the city. And we want to make sure that we can continue to provide the citizens with the services that you all are accustomed to. If you all want us to contract the garbage out, we can do that. If you all want us to start recycling, we can do that. I mean, we can do whatever you all want us to do, but I think everybody's happy with the way that things are going. And to remain happy, you may have to pay a little extra to be able to do it. So these are the things that I wanted to be able to cover with you all. I wanted you to know the individuals that are working here on the finance team. I wanted to share with you how we've performed in our audit for FY20. I wanted to also let you know how we're doing in FY 2021 and what are our proposed goals going forward and how we can be able to use the American Rescue Plan in our finances for the next 2 years and to be able to cover some miscellaneous things just to give you a heads up so you won't be surprised when we do present our spending plan to you on the 22nd that it may have some of these things in there. But I would love for you all to be cheerleaders and to say that, well, hey, I was at the finance meeting, so I know we need to be able to do these things. At this time, I'll open it up. It's 7:20. But anybody have any questions or anything you want to ask?
I think the best thing that you said is to cut the occupation tax. I think that is going to really, really, really mend a lot of fences, mend a lot of relationships. And so I think that's wonderful.
Okay. Well, thank you, Donna.
And I don't mind paying more for our garbage.
Okay.
And I don't want you to outsource it.
Okay. Can I put your picture when we send the increase out with a quote?
Oh, Lord.
What's Hoover charge for, what's their tax on car sales?
I want to say 1.5.
Hoover's is 1.5?
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
Birmingham is 2. I think Birmingham is around 2%. Hoover's like 1.5.
excuse me. I don't think you need to worry about that because I don't think people that can afford $100,000 car is really worried about a 2% tax.
Well, I hope not. They probably don't need to buy that car if that's the case.
Well, I mean, any terrible, negativity when we raised it.
No, we didn't. We did not,
I
but
don't think anybody said anything.
they did not. But if you want to build good relationships with people, you want to let them know what's happening.
That's true.
So I just want to let them know, what's happening, because at the end of the day, I have to do what's in the best interest of the city of Irondale, not in the best interest of just one individual or one entity that's out there. So we will always do what's the best thing for the whole than it is for the half. And sometimes it hurts the half because we're trying to take care of the whole.
Well, one thing is you're talking about raising on things that we use every day, you know. And the occupational tax is negative because there are people here that don't live here,
True.
that don't benefit from anything that you do or the council does.
Drive on
And,
those roads, don't they?
well,
Police and fire protection.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, believe me,
I know that, but.
Well,
but
It's,
there-
it's not for a debate.
Thank you.
When Donna
I have
get
a
through,
question too,
yeah,
ma'am.
when she get through, everybody can speak until 7:30, but we're not here to debate anything. We're here to be respectful and to be able to voice our opinion about how we feel about a particular subject.
Well, I agree. Any business that they work in is, you know, has police and fire protection, of course. But people that come into the city, they drive into the city and they park their car and they work all day and they go home out of the city. And, they don't, you know, they don't have to pay an occupational tax to the state to drive on the roads. So they are just looking at what's coming out of their pocketbook and what is it benefiting them. So that's why I say that a cut in the occupational tax, I think would be a really positive thing.
Thank you, Donna. Cindy?
Two things, Mayor Stewart. On the rate stabilization study that took place in 2013, was it 60% or 45% that they found the city was undercharging on its rate? Because at the water count committee meeting, you said it was 60%, but tonight you said it was 45%. So I'm wondering which one it is.
It's between 45 and 60%.
Okay, between, okay. And then the next question had to do with the taxes that make up the budget. Is it the case that the taxpayers make up a majority of the budget? When I say taxpayers, I'm talking about those that pay the sales tax, those that pay the property tax, those that pay the occupational license fee, those that buy gasoline and other things in Iredell. Is it a correct statement to say that the taxpayers make up a bulk of our budget?
I mean, I really can't say that it's correct because when I've heard that term used, it's used as if the 13,000 folks that live in Irondale are the one that pay for everything. So I don't know how many people are going over there buying Mercedes, BMWs. Well, I'm just saying, but that's the way that it's used when I hear taxpayers' money, is if the citizens that live here is footing the bill for everything. So I would have to say no. I would not agree that the citizens foot the bill for everything that takes place here, because you got business licenses, which is about $2 million a year was projected for that. So how many citizens, unless it's their business, is actually paying a business license in the city of Irondale? With the 3.6 or 7 million that came in occupational license fee, how many citizens that live in Irondale actually work at all these businesses and are footing the bill for that amount? Out of the $10 million or $11 million that comes in sales and use tax, how many of the 13,000 folks that live here are the ones that are paying that bill? I would say that they are not paying that bill. I can't see how 13,000 folks would be able to generate the $23 million that we come here into the city. Now, I would say that the money belongs to everybody. I mean, it's the city's money, but it's not the taxpayers' money, because everybody don't pay taxes. You know, you got children that make up part of that number. So everybody's not footing the bill for all of the funds that are coming into the city. I just would like to, and typically people are talking about property tax. That's why I pulled that figure out, because when we were getting ready to do the road project in our community, that was one of the things that was talked about. Well, you all don't pay property tax, or you hadn't paid property tax over a long period of time. Well, if property tax only make up 6% or whatever the amount is, the other 94% comes from other sources. Matthew, is that you hiding behind that mask? Okay.
So
Y'all, that's Matthew Monk,
That's me,
one of Mayor Stewart's favorite fans.
I guess. So since you've called on me, I guess I'll ask, kind of going back to the point of the occupational tax. We really want to raise rates on water and garbage and things of that nature and put the burden on people that live here, those of us that live here, while at the same time removing that from the folks that work here?
Well, the people that burden is going to are the people that are using the services. So you should be able to, I mean, it's not a gift to get garbage. They pay a fee for it. It's not a gift for water. You pay a fee for it. In any other business, we never complain when people increase the rates to be able to keep up with revenue versus expenses. But some reason we think when we get to government, we have an unlimited amount of money that we can just continue to keep rates low and allow things to continue to basically to bear the burden instead of passing the burden off to the people who are benefiting from that particular service. So that's all I was, that's the only thing that I was saying is that, and also let me rephrase the deal about the occupational license fee, because some of the people that I've talked to or some of the business I've talked to said, Mayor, we'll sit down with you and talk about some other ways that our business may be able to pay more if you just take that burden off of our employees. So they're willing to have a discussion to say, how can the businesses are willing to pay more so that their employees do not have to go home with 1% extra cut out of their salary. So I forgot to share that information, but we're supposed to have a summit with all of the larger businesses here at the city and sit around the table and say, how can we come to a consensus to figure out that you all are willing to pick up more so that this become revenue neutral, so that it doesn't cost the city any issues, but we still have to make sure that the services that we're providing them at a cost that is fair for the people to pay for them.
I believe that when I see it. I just hate to see us touching the occupational tax. I pay it. I work here, live here, but I hate to see us touch it.
Okay. Robert, you had a question?
Just a quick question, Mayor. You probably don't have the figures on it, but we're talking about new cars, which is great. That's the big lick, and that's where we get our big taxes from. But we sell quite a few used cars here too. So the thing about on raising the tax, 2% is great, but do we want to ease into that more, possibly just simply because of when you go for a new car, a used car there, that actually is going to be a little bit more expensive and make the used car business less attractive, which as the new cars are having trouble coming in, the new old stock is going to sell, but then a bigger part of the business may be used cars until those productions come up. Then on the occupational tax, I'm against occupational tax personally, but I can definitely see where occupational tax is not the lifeblood of the city. What's our percentage of occupational tax? What is our percentage of our budget?
I can't tell you exactly what the percentage of it is, but I can tell you last year that the amount was somewhere between 3.5 to 4 million. And the reason that I'm not giving you the exact amount, because we're not supposed to give the exact amount when it comes to taxes. So that's why I'm just giving you that broad range that it falls somewhere in between.
So I definitely agree with taking a look at shaving them down a little bit, but maybe not being too aggressive, because we can always shave them down as we move forward, but maybe shave them down not quite as aggressively. I think
that's why I have you all. I'm just here to present. I'm gonna leave it up to you all to figure out the rest of it, but you can't say that I didn't present it to you. So I'm just gonna put it out there, and we have a good working group, and I feel like we'll come to a good compromise.
you presented well, sir.
Okay.
Well, you did say you like to ease into things, so increasing from 1.5 to 2% is a 33% increase, right?
I don't know the percentage on it, but I
Double-digit increase, I'll put it that way, when you consider the proportional increase.
yeah. Well, I do know that if a person purchases an automobile for, we'll just say $100,000 to make the numbers work, 2% they would pay $2,000, 1.5 they would pay $1,500. So we're talking about $500. And my thought process, if you can pay $100,000 for an automobile, you're probably not even thinking about the 500 additional dollars that you had to pay in taxes.
Yeah, the new car's not gonna be the new car's not gonna be the issue.
But, you know, the smaller the amount of the car, the smaller amount of the tax. I mean, it goes hand in hand with each other.
It
So,
all goes into the financing anyway.
yeah.
I don't see a lot of used cars at the auto mall. Maybe
Yeah, the only, well, we do have a new brand out there that's the only thing they do is sell used cars. And that's Echo Park Automotive. Echo Park Automotive. It's a new concept. They sell only used cars, 1 to 5 years old, less than 50,000 miles, and they're usually foreign in nature.
Oh, okay.
They put that in the place of Mini Cooper.
Oh, over,
It's out there at the Auto Mall.
okay.
Yeah, it's out there at the Auto Mall. So they had one of the greatest months when they first opened in March.
Well, thank you for telling me.
Well, you are so welcome.
Lord, I may be in the market for a wonderful used car, you never know.
Yes. So, like I said, all of these things are good for discussion, and they're all up for debate. And you know, like I said, I present, council decide. So I'll let them, you know, I'll let them work through that part of it. But I'm okay with it. Whatever they do, I'm okay with it. I just feel like I have a responsibility to bring these things to the forefront and not to be afraid to talk about it. But that's my job. I mean, that's why I'm here. And that's why we have the other people here that serve, that be able to help us with the finances. We want to make sure that we're doing the things that we're supposed to do. And I just don't know of any business that you run and you never have an increase. I mean, the other day, they were having food trucks, and on the glass it said $7.95. When I got ready to pay for it, it said $11.95.
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Why do I have to pay $11.95?" She pointed at the sticker on the truck, COVID. Not the one we had here on Saturday, but it was one during the week that there was another event that I went to, and I could have either told them to give me my money back, or I could just walk away and eat it. I just decided to walk away and eat it. But so at least I'm not saying we're blaming all these things on COVID, because we're doing good through COVID.
Well,
So
sometimes in the afternoon, I just sit in my recliner and I look at Facebook. And I'm telling you, other cities that have outsourced their garbage, it's nightmares, nightmares. And I think that we need to guard our public works and our garbage service. And if we have to pay a few more dollars, then so be it.
right. Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Hopefully there's something you've been able to glean, to walk away with, that you realize that, number one, your city is being ran very well, and that you have very competent individuals that are here and that they are carrying out those tasks, and that we're going to be okay. We are poised for growth. And there are a lot of other exciting things that are going on that I would love to share with you. But at the appointed time, I'll be able to make those announcements and let you know what's going on in the wonderful city of Irondale. And also, Cindy, I'll get you a copy of the rate study. If you didn't have a copy of it, I'll send you a copy of the rate study, so you'll have that information and you can look through that. April? Did you tell them we through?
You guys wait before. It was Marcus Ferris, just want to know about sidewalks and if that's part of the road plan or if there's something separate for sidewalks.
Okay, we received a TAP grant from the state of Alabama, $869,000. Sane Associates is doing the engineering on that. I think they finished up doing all of the preliminary work that need to be done. The city's part was a 20% match of that. So I will have to check with Sane to see exactly where they are in the midst of that. But that was a part of a grant, and also we created a plan to be ADA. We had to do that as well, and that's one of the things that we haven't done in a while. But we do want to also begin to include that as we're working on the roads, as we're working on storm drains, we also want to begin to work on the sidewalks at the same time. So we do have a plan for that. We just need to make sure that we begin to put funding in place to be able to deal with it.
Is this grant, is it for a designated area?
Yes, it's 16th Street.
16th Street.
Yes, I want to say it's going to be sidewalks all the way from the beginning to the end of 16th Street. Is that right there? Yeah, so. So, like I said, thank you all, and may you all have a safe drive home. If you have any additional questions, feel free to send them to Lou, and she'll answer all of them. Good night, you all. Thank you for coming.